I transmigrated into an undercover agent tasked with seducing the villain, but the villain really doesn't like me. I get closer. You're quite the seducer. I distance myself. What a clever game of playing hard to get, until the organization couldn't stand it anymore and came to personally guide me. Bite down, don't move, relax. Outside, Sheng Lin kicked the door open with a dark expression. Hello, everyone. Welcome to my channel. Subscribe us to read wonderful stories every day. Now, the story begins. At that moment, Lin was pressing against my waist with his knee, attempting some difficult maneuver. Before this, my screams were louder than that of a slaughtered pig, flirtatious glances so seductive they could cause eye strain, a delicate willow swaying in the wind, twisting until the waist breaks. What a thoroughly satisfying session of learning. The moment the door was kicked open, I even felt a sense of relief, but the next second, when I saw who it was, my legs gave way with a thud, collapsing involuntarily. Outside the door, Zhu Shuang gloated with smug satisfaction. Your Highness, every word I said is true. Zhu Hao has been having an affair with the guard, defiling the royal mansion, a crime deserving of death. Who, me? I looked up and saw Sheng Lin's face, dark as if it were dripping with ink. My heart skipped a beat. Your Highness, let me try to explain. No, let me clarify. Sheng Lin sat in the chair I had just occupied, his gaze sharp as a cold blade, piercing through me as he sneered. I'm listening, Zhu Hao. The last two words seemed to be squeezed out from between his clenched teeth. A shiver ran through my entire body. Beside him, Zhu Shuang spoke with a stiff neck. Your Highness, don't listen to Zhu Hao's nonsense. This servant believes she has no explanation whatsoever. It's a foregone conclusion. Who said that? I retorted loudly. My face flushed red, and I began to babble incoherently. Sheng Lin's expression grew increasingly grim. Only what? I glanced at the organization's contact person kneeling on the ground, pretending to be a quail, and then saw Zhu Shuang's barely suppressed laughter. So I simply closed my eyes and started talking nonsense. I just admire the prince too much. So I resorted to any means necessary to come and learn from Lin. The air seemed to freeze. Before entering the prince's residence, Lin had fabricated an identity for himself as a courtesan. So what he was learning was naturally self-evident. Sheng Lin's expression was peculiar, his fingers lightly tapping on the armrest. You, admiring me? Beside him, Zhu Shuang stared wide-eyed, his mouth hanging open for a long time. Your Highness, Zhu Hao was lying to you. Don't believe it. Shut up. I didn't say it. It was Sheng Lin who said it. His gaze swept over me, almost tangible. Zhu Hao, you've got quite the nerve. I didn't dare to speak, with head bowed, trembling in sobs. A beautiful, slender hand gently brushed across my face, leaving a cold sensation. Do you know what happened to the last person who tried to seduce me? I shook my head honestly. A light chuckle sounded by my ear. Sheng Lin's voice was laced with malice. After I skinned it alive and threw it into a pit of snakes. It screamed for 3 days and 3 nights. He stood before me, toying with the bell on my head. The sound of jingling bells echoed through the room. I couldn't stop trembling all over, terrified that I might be the next one to be skinned. I opened my dry mouth with difficulty. Your Highness, I'm serious. Sheng Lin looked down at me with an air of calm authority. The other 2 people in the room had been driven away by the hidden guards at some point. Seriously. So what did you learn from Lin? Just those things. Which ones? Sheng Lin curled a faint smile, lightly lifting his chin. Now, I shall test the results of your studies. I doubted my own hearing, looking directly for the first time at this legendary villain, said to be more delicate than a flower yet more ruthless than poison. Under the dim light, Sheng Lin's face was like congealed fat, his eyes like dots of lacquer, as if guided by ghosts and gods. I took hold of those long, slender hands. They were very cold. The veins on his arms bulged as Sheng Lin looked down at our clasped hands. I quickly let go. Your Highness, I have overstepped. The man's voice was hoarse. Continue. I let out a breath, stood up, and walked toward him. With every step I took, the person in front of me retreated a step. Behind me was my bed. I raised my hand and pressed it against his chest. The sensation under my hand was first soft and springy, then turned rigid and hard. With a slight exertion of force, The man fell onto the bed, beneath me. Shenglin's gaze was dark and intense. Is this what you've learned? I let out a soft Not daring to look at him, the man chuckled lightly. So, is that all you've got? The red veil draped over his picturesque brows and eyes, leaving only his crimson lips exposed, making him look like a seductive fox. I instinctively held my breath, momentarily unsure of who was truly tempting whom. Shenglin looked up at me, his gaze deep and intense. It seems Lin didn't manage to teach you properly, but I can certainly instruct you, with a sweep of his long arm, before I could even react. The distance between Shenglin and me narrowed to mere centimeters. The man began to roughly handle my face. I dared not move. He played for a while, his eyes fixed intently on me. Tell me, what is your purpose in approaching me? Startled, I quickly stood up. His subordinate suddenly choked. Strange. Shenglin usually only liked to wear plain clothes and didn't care for jewelry. I blinked, but he only saw the person beneath him with a flushed face and unsteady breathing. Shenglin looked as if he was extremely angry. I'm done for. The big villain is angry. Thinking of this, I, who value my life, rolled off the bed in a hurry. Your Highness, I dare not deceive you. My loyalty lies only with you. Shenglin lay half reclined on the bed, his eyes dark and intense. The quilt had somehow been draped over my legs by him. Quite the skillful move. I lowered my head without a word, but inside I was terrified. The gaze from above was intense. I broke out in a cold sweat. Best wishes. Shenglin revealed a smile under the flickering candlelight, his gaze icy cold. My neck was suddenly gripped with force, forcing me to lift my head. How can you be so seductive? What if I catch you red-handed? I tried to explain with a muffled but he was pinching my cheeks so hard they puffed out. He looked down at me, narrowing his eyes slightly, as if weighing something while looking at my face. After a moment, he released my chin. You did do something wrong today. I want to cry but have no tears, so, the physical suffering that must be endured will still come. My heart sank. The main villain is the most perverse, and the punishments he inflicts are utterly unbearable. I heard that the last assassin who came was screaming in agony in the dungeon for 3 whole days, and in the end couldn't bear it and bit off his own tongue to end his life. I had already started drafting my will in my mind when I heard him say, "Then I sentence you to 30 strokes of the cane." I breathed a sigh of relief. Just 30 strokes, I could endure it. Shenglin glanced at me and curled his lips into a smile. I will fight her. The next day, when I came out of Shenglin's room holding my buttocks, new rumors had already spread throughout the mansion. I was congratulated, having soared to the highest branch and transformed into a phoenix. But I waited 1 day, 2 days, 3 days. I am still that kitchen maid, Zhu Hao. Zhu Shuang's gaze towards me gradually shifted from jealousy to pity. Zhu Hao, as a person, one's mind should still be focused on the right path. I nodded. That makes sense. That's right. I cannot idle away my time in the prince's mansion, living off food and drink without purpose, just because I fear Shenglin. I need to focus on my main job, seduce Shenglin. But Shenglin's face is even more handsome than mine. What do I have to seduce him with? He looks at his own face in the mirror every day. He's probably long since become immune to good looks. These past few days, whenever I get close to him, he would flick his sleeve and coldly utter, "Only capable of such cheap seduction tricks. It's so unfair. I actually haven't done anything at all. But if I really keep my distance, he calls me over, his gaze deep and unreadable. Is this another one of your new tricks? Playing hard to get? I'm really out of ideas." I ran to Lin's house feeling utterly defeated and collapsed into a chair. "Boss, maybe we should get someone else to do it. Shenglin really doesn't like me right now, no matter what I do. He's not satisfied and keeps making sarcastic remarks." Lin took a sip of tea and threw out a huge temptation. "I've already applied to the higher-ups to increase your monthly subsidy by 10 taels of silver. After the deed is done, you'll be surrounded by handsome men, with fertile fields and grand mansions." Well, all right then, it's not that I'm greedy, but if I had to give a reason, it's all because Shenglin is just too good-looking. Being surrounded by handsome men can't compare to having just one of him. I thought about the novel's description, where the main antagonist spent his childhood in the south and thus had a particular fondness for red rice porridge. However, Given his current noble status, such coarse food would naturally never be allowed to appear before him. After working in the kitchen for most of the day, I finally managed to recreate the porridge exactly as described in the novel. Just as I stepped out of the small kitchen, I ran straight into Sheng Lin. While I was lost in thought, the man had already walked up to me. He stood there calmly, arms crossed, looking down at me. One plan failed, so you're trying another. Zhu Hao, you really are persistent. Is this a compliment, garlic bird? Patience is the least remarkable virtue among us beasts of burden. I was just about to bring out the porridge when I heard him sneer. If anyone else dared to serve such a crude dish to this prince, they would have lost their head long ago. I paused my movements, my heart sinking, my inner hamster was screaming. If I really said it was for Sheng Lin, I'm afraid my head wouldn't be safe either. I quickly hid the porridge behind my back, not letting him see it. No, it's for He Lin. I had spent most of the afternoon preparing the red rice porridge. If Sheng Lin didn't want to drink it, it couldn't go to waste. He Lin. Sheng Lin's face instantly turned cold as he grabbed my wrist. I never knew you were such a fickle person. Me again. Your Highness, I'm not. I hurried to explain. I naturally hold deep admiration for your Highness in my heart. As you said, this porridge is a coarse and humble thing. Your Highness, with your noble and precious body, should naturally not even lay eyes on such things. That is why I gave it to Helen. Sheng Lin gritted his teeth. So, when you made this porridge, you didn't think of me first. He curled the corner of his mouth into a light smile. Zhu Hao, so this is the extent of your affection after all. I give up. I could no longer muster any expression. A gust of wind blew by. Sheng Lin chuckled, crossing his arms. He lifted his chin with an air of superiority and let out a light snort. Don't think your sweet talk can win me over. This porridge looks unappetizing at first glance. I, the king, have no interest in it. I nodded repeatedly. Then I'll take the porridge away so it won't offend your sight. Wait, Sheng Lin swept his long arm out, making it seem as though he was about to pull me into his embrace. Then, the bowl of red rice porridge was in his hands. He disdainfully leaned in for a light sniff. Indeed, it's quite ordinary. However, the royal manor does not permit private exchanges. I shall take this bowl of porridge. He chuckled softly, then leaned in closer to me. The crisp scent of plum blossoms drifting into my nostrils. For a fleeting moment, my vision blurred. A sinister voice whispered in my ear, "Best wishes. You'd better not let me find anything suspicious. Otherwise, you're dead." Cold sweat instantly broke out on my back. Only then did I belatedly nod heavily. I only admire the prince. How could I understand such intricate schemes? Who would have thought that very night I would be taken by the shadow guards to Sheng Lin's room? The reason was that after Sheng Lin drank my porridge, he was poisoned. I cried out in protest. Even if I wanted to drug Sheng Lin, I would only use an aphrodisiac. Moonlight poured down, casting its glow upon the layers of overlapping curtains. Sheng Lin sat on the bed, wearing a white inner garment with his belt loosely hanging around his waist, revealing large areas of snow-white skin and clearly defined abdominal muscles. Perhaps due to the poison, his lips were as red as blood. I knelt at Sheng Lin's feet, utterly panicked. I had been watching this porridge cook the entire time. How could it be poisoned? And yet, didn't Sheng Lin say it was completely ordinary? So why did he drink it himself? My mind was racing, while Sheng Lin showed no expression on his face. He raised his head and let out a cold laugh. Zhu Hao, you really have some nerve. I didn't dare to speak, wishing I could shrink into a ball. The room fell silent for a few moments, and then a soft, sinister voice came from the shadows. "Second brother, since the culprit has been captured, I will execute this wicked slave for you." Execute who? Execute me. Out of the corner of my eye, I finally noticed that there was actually a third person. I recalled what he had just said. So this is the legendary male lead. Sheng'en, your highness. It wasn't me. My face turned pale, and I quickly turned to look at Sheng Lin. Shut up. Sheng Lin covered his chest and coughed twice. When his gaze fell on me, he muttered quietly, "I know it wasn't you. You don't have the guts." My heart settled for a moment, but the next second, a blade flashed before my eyes. With a clang, metal clashed. A short blade pressed against Sheng'en's long sword. Little 13. "It seems I never gave you permission to lay a hand on my people." Sheng uncurled his lips into a smirk and withdrew his sword. It appears the rumors are true. Second brother has taken a liking to a certain woman. I'm afraid this will disappoint father, who has arranged a royal consort for second brother. I was completely baffled by what I heard. Take it seriously, it must be fake. Sheng Lin finds it annoying to even glance at me, probably to make the male lead let his guard down. I became more and more convinced of this answer. So, to cooperate with Sheng Lin, I took the initiative and threw myself onto him. Your Highness, it really wasn't Zhu Hao who did it, Your Highness. You must investigate this thoroughly. Your Highness, Zhu Hao's heart belongs only to you. I cried, tears streaming down my face like raindrops on pear blossoms, completely oblivious to Sheng Lin rolling his eyes dramatically, until a voice softly reached my ears. Shut up, BAA. Sheng Lin's hand pressed against my back, freezing my attempt to rise in place. With a slight exertion of force, I was pressed against the broad chest muscles before me. Damn it. There's no need for 13th brother to trouble himself. It would be best if 13th brother focused on managing his own household affairs. I heard the female physician you brought back recently has run away again. I watched Sheng En's expression shift from calm to dark and terrifying, and a sudden surge of satisfaction welled up in my heart. Halfway through my delight, I suddenly realized something. Wait, had I instinctively sided with the villain? The medical woman who escaped must be the female lead, Liu Yunyan. Sheng En gritted his teeth and said good 3 times in a row. Second brother is truly merciful, to actually hold the one who poisoned you in your arms. Heh. Sheng Lin let out a light laugh and raised his chin. If it were the poisoner, how would I dare to hold them in my arms? But the real culprit has already been found. I just don't know if 13th brother recognizes them or not. After that, a familiar person was brought in, Zhu Shuang. At this moment, her tongue had somehow been torn out, and she could only make muffled sounds, unable to speak. My face turned pale, and in the end, I turned my head away. I remembered, while cooking the porridge, I went to the restroom. When I came back, Zhu Shuang happened to be coming out of the back kitchen as well. Sheng En's face darkened completely. I don't know this person. Zhu Shuang's eyes instantly dimmed. The next second, he actually bit through the poison in his mouth. His whole body trembled twice. Blood gushed from his mouth and nose, and he fell to the ground, dead. Sheng En kicked the person at his feet away in disgust. He glanced at me and Sheng Lin, seemingly unwilling to accept the situation. Then, he cupped his hands in a salute. Since second brother is fine, I'll take my leave now. With that, he left. His retreating figure carried a hint of fleeing. Only then did Sheng Lin release his grip on me. Ahem. A large mouthful of black blood spewed from his mouth. Best wishes. You really are the bane of my existence. I quickly called for help, but Sheng Lin covered my mouth. I'm fine. But you. Sheng Lin let out a sigh and pulled me into his embrace. Zhu Hao, I'm so tired. Let me hold you for a while. Just for a little while. After leaving the villain's room, my chest has been feeling tight and suffocating. Ever since I transmigrated here, everyone around me seemed like fake, two-dimensional characters from a book. But now, Sheng Lin seems to have truly come to life. The book only briefly described his vicious and ruthless nature, but it never mentioned the wolves and tigers surrounding him, waiting to pounce. The villain clearly had nothing left. That's why he went to fight for it. With such thoughts in mind, I even handled my tasks half-heartedly. For several days, I avoided Sheng Lin, and Sheng Lin has also seemed very busy lately, without the need for seduction. I began making plans for the future. Walking down the street, I took a liking to several tailor shops. Just as I was thinking, the sound of horse hooves snapped me out of my thoughts. Fu, why did you suddenly stop? The carriage curtain was lifted, revealing a familiar face. Sheng En curled his lips into a mocking smile. Well, if it isn't second brother's sweetheart, what's wrong? Are you alone? I had no intention of getting entangled with him, so I bowed and tried to leave quickly. But now, wanting to leave was no longer an option. He looked at me, his smile growing wider and wider. A wave of malice washes over me. It seems fate has brought us together. I still think second brother interrogated the wrong person regarding that poisoning incident. What do you think, little servant? I will now clean up the mess for my second brother. As soon as the words fell, my heart sank. Then I turned and ran. I knew I could easily be caught on the main street. So I deliberately ducked into the side alleys. Behind me, Shungan's men were in hot pursuit. Fortunately, this body had some martial arts foundation, so I didn't feel tired even after running for a long time, but fate was not on my side. Turning the corner, I found myself in a dead end. Shungan's servants surrounded me in a tight circle, while he stood against the light, fanning himself with a smile curling on his lips. He was clearly smiling, yet I felt a chill run through my entire body. You little slave, you'd better behave. This isn't my second brother's princely mansion, so no matter how much you struggle, it's useless. In the scorching summer heat, I broke out in a cold sweat. I clenched my fists, gritted my teeth, and spoke. After all, I'm just a servant under the second prince's estate. Killing me wouldn't bring the 13th prince any benefit. Yes, Shungan nodded, but killing you would make my second elder brother unhappy. If he's unhappy, then I'm happy. It suddenly occurred to me, in the recent plot developments of the book, the main antagonist had been sabotaging the male lead, causing all his previous efforts to go to waste. No wonder Shungan wanted to kill me to vent his anger. But I am just an insignificant person in Shenglin's heart. You've misunderstood. I'm just someone the second prince uses for amusement. When the amusement is gone, I naturally become insignificant. Who said that? Shungan suddenly burst into laughter. My good second brother is here, isn't he, Shenglin? A cold arrow shot down from mid-air, slicing through the atmosphere. It pierced into the body of the servant behind him. Then, a slender figure appeared silently by my side. I'm late. The familiar voice in my ear actually made me feel much more at ease. Are you scared? I shook my head, but when I looked up at Shenglin, those pitch-black eyes instantly drowned me. For some unknown reason, I nodded again. He let out a light chuckle. He placed a short sword into my hand. If you're afraid, then I will take you to kill them. The next second, my body was pulled along by Shenglin. Following his movements and leveraging his strength, the blade sliced through one throat after another. There's only one left, Shungan. Blood dripped from the tip of the blade, just like the beat of my heart at this moment. I know it's not because of killing that I'm excited, but because of the person behind me. Shenglin looked down at me, his tone uncharacteristically gentle. Do you want to kill this? Reason suddenly returned. No, brother. Who do you want me to kill? The male lead. I shook my head again. It's not because Shungan is the male lead that I don't kill him. Rather, if Shungan were to die, Shenglin would find himself in an even more difficult situation. I said softly, Your Highness, I am no longer afraid. Shenglin laughed out loud, his chest vibrating with the sound. A sudden weight pressed down on my shoulder. He leaned his entire body against me. Good boy. Shungan fled in a flustered state. Before leaving, he let out a strange, inexplicable laugh. Shenglin, you are too arrogant. Now I finally know your weakness. No wonder you publicly rejected the marriage proposal yesterday. I lifted my head and looked at Shenglin. Your Highness, am I your weakness? I have no way of knowing. Actually, there's one more question I haven't asked. Shenglin, did you reject the marriage proposal because of me? He stared at me for a long time. His pitch-black pupils stared intently into my eyes, as if a storm were brewing. After a long while, I heard him say, Don't overthink it. This king has no weaknesses. Shenglin has been treating me very well lately. The finest food, clothing, and daily necessities were all sent to my room. Even the shops I took a liking to were bought without a second thought. However, he was becoming increasingly busy. Being busy is a good thing. I hope my big villain is no longer a villain. The organization is urging me to carry out the mission again. I sighed, put on my best-looking clothes, cooked a bowl of red rice porridge, and brought it to Shenglin's study. The sound of discussion abruptly stopped. I knocked and entered. Shenglin waved his subordinates away, looking at me with a cold expression. Zhu Hao, are you here to seduce me again? I chuckled. Then have I succeeded in seducing you? Shenglin stared at me, gritting his teeth. Don't flatter yourself. I have no interest in you. I pouted. No interest. Then I'll be on my way. And with that, he turned and left. Wait, a voice of reprimand came from behind. Zhu Hao, you come and go as you please. Do you have any respect for me, your king? Shenglin walked up behind me and snatched away that bowl of porridge. I turned my head and looked at him with a smiling face. But the next second, the bowl of porridge was thrown to the ground by him. My smile froze on my face. The scene before my eyes seemed to be losing frames, slowing down second by second. The porridge spilled on the floor, and the splattered filth stained my newly changed dress. I looked up at Sheng Lin, still keeping a cold face. "Zhu Hao, have I been giving you too much face?" It took me a few moments to process the meaning of those simple words in my mind. I couldn't read his thoughts, but Sheng Lin's face clearly showed disgust, disdain. It felt as if cold water had been poured over me, chilling me to the bone. I couldn't figure out what was going on, only instinctively looking at Sheng Lin. I don't know, but right now my eyes are filled with helplessness and confusion. My half-extended hand timidly withdrew again. I wanted to question him in my disheveled state, but before the words could leave my mouth, my neck was suddenly seized by a tight grip. The current Sheng Lin is exactly the same as the great villain I first met, bloodthirsty, cruel, and unpredictable. I couldn't catch my breath, tears welling up in my eyes, in my ears. There was his ruthless, cold chuckle. "Zhu Hao, do you think I haven't noticed your tricks? I've told you before, don't let me catch any clues of yours, if you don't want to die. Get out of the prince's mansion." When Sheng Lin doted on me, everyone knew it. Abandoning me was a grand spectacle. Everyone knew he despised me, so much so that he kicked me out the very same day. In my haste, all I had with me was the deed to a suburban villa that Sheng Lin had given me long ago. Since the day I time-traveled, I have been staying in the prince's mansion. For now, this is the only place to go. While I was packing my things, Lin came over to comfort me. To be honest, I've always been curious about what kind of organization this really is. The book didn't mention it. It was as if it appeared out of thin air. He threw a bag of money in front of me. "This is the reward for completing the mission assigned by the organization." I looked at the money bag, which was half the size of Lin, and suddenly felt emotional. So the good job I couldn't find in the modern world was actually in a book. Mission accomplished. I suppressed the slight bitterness rising in my heart. He panted heavily, clapped his hands, and surveyed my room. "Your courtyard is open on all sides with a regular layout. Though it's not the home of a wealthy family, it's comfortable and secure enough." I waved my hand dismissively. Sheng Lin bought it. Hearing me speak, he suddenly leaned in with a mischievous grin. "You and Sheng Lin, are you really over?" I glanced at him as if looking at an idiot. "If you're here to laugh at me, please turn left and get out." Lin shook his head repeatedly. "Not at all." He waved the fan in his hand, smiling inexplicably. "Then do you know, Sheng Lin is about to die." My heart suddenly skipped a beat. I suddenly realized what year it was now, the 49th year of Yuanqi, the second to last year in this book's timeline. The main villain shouldn't die this year. After sending Lin off in a daze, I sat in the chair and carefully went through the plot. This book is a political romance, with the main storyline focusing on the male protagonist Sheng'en's struggle for the throne. Sheng Lin was the biggest stumbling block on Sheng'en's path to the throne. At the end of the story, the main antagonist stages a rebellion, and the male protagonist kills the villain to conclude the story. Some time ago, Sheng Lin defied the imperial decree by refusing to marry, and soon after, rumors began to spread in the capital that Sheng Lin harbored rebellious intentions. However, in the original work, Sheng Lin clearly obeyed the decree and married the daughter of an influential official, which would have greatly aided his ascension to the throne. I can't help but think, is it me? Did I hasten Sheng Lin's death? When Sheng Lin drove me away, was it because he was afraid I would die with him? After all, throughout history, those who successfully rebelled have always been in the minority. Lost in thought, I was reminded of the first time I met Sheng Lin. The moonlight was cold that night, and a young man in white robes held a long sword. With a single swing of his hand, rivers of blood flowed. This is the first time I have ever witnessed such a brutal scene. Trembling all over, I wanted to run, but it was already too late. The white-clad king of hell looked as if he would chop off my head the very next second. He curled his lips into a smirk and walked toward me step by step. "Oh, so there's still a little kitten that slipped through the cracks here." I closed my eyes in fear. A long time passed. It felt like so long that I thought Sheng Lin had already left, but then I found him collapsed on the ground. A large amount of blood was still seeping from his chest. I couldn't just stand by and watch someone die. After carrying him to the small room, I roughly stopped his bleeding. When the man woke up and saw me, his expression was icy cold. At that time, I didn't know he was the main villain. He casually took a piece of Osmanthus cake stolen from the kitchen and stuffed it into his mouth. "You've been unconscious for a day. Have something to eat first." He froze, his expression complicated. I don't know what he was thinking, but he silently joined me in nibbling on the remaining Osmanthus cake. Everyone says Sheng Lin is fierce and cruel, but they don't know that it's his instinct for survival. My mind is in turmoil, but now, only one thought remains: I cannot let Sheng Lin die. But before I could come up with a solution, news arrived of Sheng Lin's imprisonment. The rebellion and its ensuing chaos never came to pass. It was Sheng An who gathered evidence within the prince's mansion that Sheng Lin had privately amassed an army. In these turbulent times of the dynasty, every prince, to some extent, would cultivate a personal guard of his own. Perhaps, the initial defiance of the imperial decree truly stirred the old emperor's murderous intent. Here, Sheng Lin truly has no place left. I found the person often associated with the main antagonist in my memory and begged him to let me see Sheng Lin. In the prison, my heart ached sharply as I looked at the emaciated man. "Your Highness," the disheveled person before me froze for a moment. I saw him glance at me quickly before turning his head away again. "What are you doing here? You have nothing to do with the prince's mansion anymore." Sheng Lin's voice was hoarse, as if he hadn't eaten for a long time. I firmly grasped his hand. He pulled away. I refused to let go. "Zhu Hao has nothing to do with the prince. Zhu Hao is related to Sheng Lin." I crouched down, looking straight into his eyes. "You know I don't have a home. The deed to—"
"What's wrong? Want to die?" The dagger cut through the skin, sending a stinging pain through my neck. Sheng An spoke slowly. "I previously didn't understand how someone as ordinary as you could catch the eye of my dear elder brother. Now I understand. Do you think Sheng Lin will come to rescue you now that you're in my hands?" Meeting, Sheng Lin has withdrawn his troops, Sheng An told me. He sat smugly in my courtyard, holding a jug of wine. "Best wishes, best wishes. Actually, by all rights, I should call you sister-in-law. Tonight, we await the reunion with our royal brother. Sheng An is setting a trap to catch them all. I am anxious, but there is nothing I can do. I only hope He Lin's actions come before Sheng Lin arrives to save me." Time passed minute by minute, and the moon gradually sank westward. As dawn approached, Sheng An grew increasingly impatient. "I'll just kill you first." The blade was just raised. Thick white smoke billowed from the west. Cries of fire came from outside the courtyard. It turned out that one of Sheng An's granaries had been burned down. "Little 13, is this how you treat your sister-in-law?" On the ridge of the roof, Sheng Lin stood with his hands behind his back. After confirming my location, he came to my side again. Sheng An sheathed his sword, smirking wickedly at the newcomer. "Your Majesty is truly devoted, traveling thousands of miles just to become a pair of lovebirds in death." Sheng Lin ignored Sheng An, carefully examining me from head to toe for a long time. "Are you hurt anywhere?" I shook my head. I instinctively grabbed that familiar hand. Sheng Lin was taken aback for a moment. Then his expression softened as he tightened his grip in return. "It's fine," I murmured in relief. Clatter, an arrow was snapped in half by Sheng An with one hand. "Since you find it so hard to part, I might as well send you on your way right now." Sheng An let out a breath, his face contorted with visible rage. He raised his hand, and archers surrounded the house, ready to strike. Sheng An's smile grew wider and wider. "Everything under heaven will ultimately be mine, is that so?" Sheng Lin raised his eyes. "Then look behind you, little 12, you have disappointed me greatly." The emperor, who had caused all this trouble, was utterly disappointed and heartbroken upon seeing his most beloved son colluding with the enemy and betraying the nation. "If you wanted the throne, I could have given it to you, but you should never, ever, become a traitor to your country." The moment I saw the emperor emerge, my heart finally settled back in my chest. Sheng An's last trump card was now gone. In the original work, Liu Yinyun is actually the princess of an enemy nation. Therefore, in the struggle for the throne, Sheng An essentially betrayed his country by colluding with the enemy, using their forces to defeat Sheng Lin. However, the author romanticized it as two benevolent rulers helping each other. But I had already told Sheng Lin about this matter a long time ago. Sheng Lin did not disappoint, immediately killing several enemy soldiers and shifting the blame onto Sheng An. Their relationship had long been hanging by a thread. On the day I was kidnapped, Sheng Lin seized the opportunity to rescue me, while He Lin went to reveal the entire truth to the emperor. And this trump card is the Imperial Dragon Guard in the Emperor's hands, capable of defeating 100 with 1. In the original work, Sheng relied on the Imperial Dragon Guard to defeat Sheng Lin. Now, if Sheng Lin wins, the Great Qi will still bear the surname Sheng, but if Sheng wins, whether the Great Qi will continue to exist remains unknown. The Emperor was certainly not that foolish. The moment Sheng saw the Emperor emerge, his face instantly turned pale. At the same time, He Lin led the troops swarming into the 12th Prince's residence. Sheng Lin held my hand and walked step by step toward Sheng. The once spirited male lead was nowhere to be seen. All that remained was a sorry sight. He glared fiercely at Sheng Lin, filled not only with resentment but also confusion. Why could I possibly lose? Sheng Lin didn't look at him. The sky in the distance was blue, the clouds white. Sheng Lin said, "Probably because the world likes me again." The villain who had never been loved finally received the world's kindness. In the 3rd year of my marriage with Sheng Lin, He Lin was about to leave. "Goodbye, little Zhu Hao, the organization is sending me on another mission." After so many years together, I had long regarded Helen as family. With tears in my eyes, I bid him farewell. Only after hearing his promise to meet every 3 years did I finally relent. In the end, I couldn't help but ask him, "What exactly is that organization?" He Lin smiled as he fanned himself. "Our organization." He drew out his words, deliberately creating an air of mystery. Under my expectant gaze, he spoke the answer. "Our organization is called the Villain Rescue Plan." There was a reason why Sheng was abandoned by the world. The author gave the male lead too many halos, but did not grant him noble character. He is cowardly and despicable, driven by greed and ambition, and he betrays his country by colluding with the enemy. Even the villains seem more righteous than the male lead. Those who like him are only drawn to the fame and fortune attached to him. More and more people are criticizing this book. This energy continued until it was discovered by the World Regulatory Bureau, so they decided to change the male lead. The Save the Villain plan officially began, and Zhu Hao, who had accidentally lost her life in the modern era and had just read this book, it was the first step of the plan that fell through.